Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where we break down the week in NBA and WNBA action. As a reminder, you can hear this podcast a day before it can be seen on YouTube by checking out Amazon, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. I am your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith. How are we doing?
Doing good, doing good. We're recording this on a Friday afternoon, which or Friday? What the hell?
I was about to
A
say, wait a second,
Monday.
hold on.
Yeah, I don't even know. It doesn't feel right to be off on a Monday, but I happen to get a day off, and like you said, you're off for the week for from school, and yeah, I just got this really cool little bobblehead here to add to the collection, a little Evander
Let's
bobblehead for
go,
you
let's
FC
go.
Cincinnati fans. So thrilled to have that and thrilled to be here talking some NBA hoops.
Yeah, it's really exciting to be able to do this early in the week because we could talk about any games upcoming that we want to and uh,
Hmm.
hit the storylines at the beginning. So it's really fun. But yeah, really enjoying that I'm having a week off. Uh, School's off, so I am too. It's a lovely system. But we are ready to get into it. Some interesting stuff happened this week in the world of pro hoops. What stood out to you, Colton?
Yeah, so we got something cooking here in the Southeast Division. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. It might just be mid, but there's something cooking here. The Magic, 4-game winning streak, 7-3 in their last 10. We talked about them last week. The Heat, 5-game winning streak, and the Hawks on a 6-game winning streak. Let's start with the Magic. Like I said, we mentioned them last week. Some turmoil between head coach and star player. Maybe that's the recipe for success in Orlando. It's not the first time it's happened, that's for sure. But beating their last two opponents by a combined margin of 66 points. One was Milwaukee, but the other was Minnesota. That snapped a 5-game winning streak for the Timberwolves, and they lost by like 27. Paolo dropped 33 on the Bucks. Desmond Bain led the way against the Timberwolves with 30. And what really looks improved in these two games is the defense, only allowing 91 to the Bucks and 92 to the Timberwolves, respectfully. That's the identity that the Magic really need to find and regain. I mentioned that last week. They're middle of the pack defensively. That's not what this Magic team should look like. They should be holding teams to 91 and 92 points consistently. The offense did look a little better in those two games, but you can't rely on that to be there week in and week out for sure. Moving on to Miami, they did have the benefit of playing the Nets twice in their 5-game winning streak, but they also knocked off Detroit. They knocked off Charlotte, who's been playing good ball, and Houston. And I think that gives that 5 streak just a little more legitimacy. Norman Powell has actually been out for this winning streak, and suddenly the Heat are having the most efficient stretch of offense they've had. They're scoring 123.3 points per 100 possessions. Tyler Hero has taken the charge with 24.6 points per game over the winning streak, shooting 17 for 33 from deep in that stretch. It seems that part of it is the offense slowing down. They're averaging 99.7 possessions per 48 minutes. That's down from 105 on the overall season. Uh, they have Washington, Milwaukee, and Orlando this week, all at home, all very winnable games. So we could see this blossom into an 8-game winning streak from a team that's been sitting at 500 pretty much all season long. That's a really good stretch. But I do want to circle back to Norman Powell because I don't want to necessarily say that he is the problem. I don't think he is. But there maybe is some readjusting that Spoles needs to do with how Norman Powell is utilized in this offense. Maybe it's putting him back on the bench as a sixth man or whatnot. But it's really something we just had to. I think Eric, of all people, Eric Spolstra is someone we can
For
trust to
sure.
figure out the right course of action here. But shout out Tyler Hero. The other thing about Tyler Hero is he's finally playing games as well. He hasn't
Hmm.
been able to play too many games this season. I think he's played 9 straight games now, so that's a really good stretch for him. Lastly, Atlanta. Yeah, they're on a win streak. Their best win on this streak is Philly without Joel Embiid. They've played Brooklyn twice, Brooklyn or Milwaukee twice. Um, and then also they played Milwaukee and Portland in that stretch. I think it was Brooklyn twice. Or no, they played Washington twice. I just can't read my own writing. and I had not even written. I typed this out, so I don't even know what I'm saying. But I would say it's a little more fluky than the other two I mentioned, and you can kind of guess that. But it might just be a coincidence. This streak coincides with CJ McCollum entering the starting lineup in place of former number 1 overall pick Zachary Risa-Shea. Did I get that right?
Yep, you sure did.
Oh my god! I literally trained myself on this before the episode. I'm so proud of myself. The McCollum lineup, as we call it, has now outscored opponents by 24.1 points per 100 possessions. Of course, let's take a look at the teams that they played again. Washington twice, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Portland. So, and Philly without Joel Embiid. Sample size is a little skewed, but Atlanta has the easiest schedule remaining of teams seeded 5 to 10 in the Eastern Conference. So, like it or not, this team's winning games against teams they should be, largely in part to CJ McCollum being in the lineup now. So, who's to say they can't make a jump to the 7th or 8th seed? Maybe even the 6th seed is definitely in reach. I don't want to go that far because I feel like Orlando might honestly be sneaking in, or they're in the 6th seed right now. I don't think they're going to beat Orlando. I think Orlando honestly could be sneaking up to that 5 seed with Toronto kind of in flux right now, to say the least. So I feel like the Southeast just kind of like Charlotte's been really the main talking point in the Southeast division. Orlando for not good reasons the last couple of weeks, but this week we have a lot of good things to talk about when it comes to the Southeast. So just an interesting little shift. And I wonder if it's one of those just kind of March, you'll see some fool's ball, right? You'll see
Right.
The Bulls went on a streak at the end of last season and went on a streak to start the season. So the combination two had us thinking they were going to be something special. Didn't quite work out that way. Josh Giddey, Tyrese Halliburton. I made that thumbnail. I sure made that thumbnail.
They're special in something, that's for sure.
Yeah, they sure are. But I'll give it back to you, though. What are your thoughts on these Southeast division and kind of the streak they're on? Is it just a week thing, and by next week we'll be moving on to the next, or is it something that maybe we'll touch on next week?
The Atlanta thing, not sure how much that's going to stick. You mentioned the schedule. That is a very favorable schedule. One, they also, I feel like, deserve their flowers for because you still have to win those games. It is still professional basketball by and large. And they are still dealing with, the departure of Trae Young, still trying to figure out the chemistry of that. And they're dealing with a lot of injuries, especially in the front court. So they are still making strides to where they want to be and the young, great team that they hope they will be in the future. So they deserve their flowers there. Miami, they continue to impress me. Spoelstra is not going to win Coach of the Year because they're not going to get many games above 500. But he deserves Coach of the Year because every time you look at their injury report, it's 5 or 6 guys, and it's usually key rotation players. And yet they struggle out there, and they're beating good teams. Like they just beat Detroit. Very impressive. They were without Hasar, I believe it was, but really, of all key rotational pieces for them, I think that's one you can hold off on judgment for. So shout out to Miami for what they're doing. And then Orlando, you talked about it. That defense has to be a lot better for them to be even kind of effective because the offense still has not figured it out. The defense is seeming to figure it out. We still have to figure out who we're running the offense through, but they have in this short stretch. I think Miami and Orlando can keep it up. I do not see Atlanta keeping it up.
Yeah, I pretty well agree. I think Miami and Orlando have both proven to be playoff teams in the East this season. I'd put that asterisk there. But I don't think Atlanta really, outside of maybe a stretch after Trae Young got hurt, I remember us talking about him, haven't really shown that. But I do think, as ugly as it looks, I feel like Quinn Snyder's still a good head coach, and I feel like he can maybe figure it out. But he sure is running out of time there in Atlanta. That is for certain. But what do you got this week?
Yeah, I mean, maybe if they get those injuries fixed, who knows? But I'm not seeing it. Anyways, for me, I'm all WNBA again this week. I could be talking about the NBA, but it's the World Cup qualifiers, and the men's side did not put a team that we should be talking about out there. So I will talk about just the women. But USA Basketball World Cup qualifiers will be this week on TNT if you all are interested in watching. The women's side has assembled the Avengers, Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers. Pretty much all I need to say. But they also
Mhm.
have Angel Reese, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, De'Erica Hamby, Ryan Howard, Chelsea Gray, Kalia Copper, Kiki Area Finn, Monique Billings, and Ray Burrell. Some very good players will not be getting minutes because that's just too stacked of a team to be able to play all those people and have any type of rhythm. So I'm very excited to see who gets these minutes. I think it ends up being a Jason Tatum on the bench for USA type situation. We'll see how it leaks into the WNBA season if there is one. But the main thing that I think that stands out from this group is they've all been playing at Unrivaled together. So they all have the chemistry. They're all in rhythm right now. Don't know how much the other teams for these World Cup qualifiers have been playing together. They may have been practicing, but not like full out competitive basketball like Unrivaled's been doing. So I'm really excited to see how that translates to this game. I don't think anybody's really holding up to them either way, even if they weren't playing these unrivaled games, because that's just an insane team. But I'm really excited to see how much better they are because of that chemistry and that time that they've spent together these last couple of months. Do you see anybody coming close to this team, Colton?
No, and I mean you took my point right out of my mouth there. It was a great unrivaled season, and I feel like they were really firing. Everyone was firing on all cylinders by the end of that season. Okay, so we take a couple weeks off, and now we're back to maybe not even that, and we're back to the qualifiers. Like I feel like that it's the team's unfair as it is, but you add all of that, I don't see anybody holding the candle to this team.
Yeah, and you get Kaylin Clark, who is now healthy and fully rested, her first full resting since she's been in the league, really.
Hmm.
So look out, world. Yes, and that is world
Uh-oh.
champions. But anyways, the second thing I
Noah.
had is the unrivaled title game. That was last week after we filmed the last one. It was played, and it was the Phantom versus the Mist. Coming into the game, the Phantom had won the season series 2-0, which is kind of surprising because the Mists were very talented. We're a very talented team and one you expected to kind of be in this title game, but the Phantom put up a fight during the season. The game was also competitive, though. I was very happy to see that. It was 24 all after one, tied at 43 at half. Iria Finn and Kelsey Plum, two of those World Cup qualifiers, they may have a little chemistry
Hmm.
coming in. They had 35 of the 43 points for the Phantom at halftime. And then Stewie and Enrique combined for 24 of those 43 missed points. And they led 68-63 after three. We won't talk about what Stewie and Enrique got into after the game. We'll leave that up to social media. Anyways, missed after three. So the race was to 79 was on. Kelsey Plum ended the night with a playoff record 40 points. She was solid all season and finished it off solid. I think she had 38 in her second game in Unrivaled ever, and then finished it off with a playoff record 40 points. I mean, she was built for the 3-on-3 game, so she really showed out. But Stewie had 32 of her own to kind of answer that call, and she also had the game-winning free throws. There was a bit of a controversial call at the end to give Stewie those free throws on a charge that was reversed, but she did still get that call, and those free throws were still made. So the Mists ended up being the winners. They were up 8, I think, at that point. So I think they still would have been able to get that last bucket before the Phantom come back, but it was a bit of a questionable call. But the Mists win 600K overall for the team, and Stewie gets the first Unrivaled title. And Unrivaled continues to show how successful basketball works and how making the players happy works. Another great season. Who knows? We may have another season sooner than we think, but I was excited to see how the season turned out. Any thoughts on that game?
No, I mean, went out just as good as I would have thought it would have played out there, and uh, you know, got the selection. But Plum 40 in a
Yeah.
3-on-3 game where you're
Yeah.
not necessarily what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're not necessarily going, you don't have the full fourth quarter even.
Right.
Just it's truly incredible some of the performances you see in the Unrivaled League throughout the season and the different styles of play, like you said, made for the 3-on-3. It's very interesting to see the contrast. I mean, Plum's obviously a bucket anywhere you go.
Any league, yeah.
5-on-5, she can drop 40 just as easily in the WNBA. But seeing those different styles, and I'm just curious how that confidence from the Unrivaled League obviously translates into the World Cup, but also in the WNBA season. I think I've made this point before, but some of those players that are great, but maybe haven't taken that next step yet, maybe the Unrivaled League can help with that.
That is a terrific point. I'm really excited to see how Unrivaled expands, because I'm sure they'll have even more teams next season, and what players they introduce. Caitlin Clark, please come to Unrivaled. Asia Wilson, think about it, even though she probably way too busy during her off season. But anyways,
she's pregnant now.
She's not. I believe that was.
Oh, did I read false info?
Yeah.
No. Oh, I hate Twitter so much, dude.
Whenever the time comes, that athlete that Bam and Asia will have will be something special. But I do believe that was a false report. Yeah, please, Asia, play as much as you can.
Got WNBA Centelled.
But yeah, they're getting stronger. But shout out to the Unrivaled season. It was terrific overall. We'll go ahead and move on to our NBA Power Rankings, where we rank our top 5 teams after the previous week. Colton, who you got?
So same teams, just a little swap around here. New York, I got them at number 5. They got wins over the Spurs and Nuggets, dropped games to the Lakers and Thunder, though. I mean, those are all 4 really good Western Conference teams, all I think on the road, maybe a couple home games in there. That Spurs game I think was home, but a little West Coast Western Conference swing is the word I'm looking for here, and they split them. I think that's a pretty good result considering all. Their offense just couldn't quite keep up with the Lakers or Thunders in that game, but their defense has been really good. I think the stat I saw was about the last 22 games, they've had the best defense in the NBA. I know that's a very specific stat, but it just tells you the type of ball they're playing right now. Moving on to Boston in the number 4 spot, 2-0 since Jason Tatum returned. He hasn't necessarily looked like Jason Tatum, but guess what? He's missed 10 months of basketball, so I'll give him a break. And like I said, they're still winning, and he's looking okay. He's just got to get some of those efficiency stats down. That's what this last little stretch of the season is kind of for, I guess. Detroit, I have them dropping down to number 3. They hadn't lost more than 2 straight games all season long. They have now lost 4 in a row. Not the time. It's both is the time and not the time to be playing your worst ball per se. Like, if you want to play your worst ball, let's finish it up now. You're still atop the East. That's why I kept them at number 3.
Yeah, get it out of the way.
But get it out of the way. But hopefully you're able to figure out how to get back to playing the ball you were playing before the season ends and you get into the playoffs. You will have hopefully an easier 8 seed. That's what it's supposed to be. But the play-in, you never know what you're going to get with that. So, yeah, I'm not like worried about the Pistons, but I would worry if we get a little closer to the playoffs and they're still playing like this. But yeah. And then that brings us to the number 2. You probably can guess, OKC. They still have the injuries piling up, but they're on a 5-game winning streak. So kind of unfazed by that. I think Hartenstein and Caruso were the 2 extra ones to go out, with Williams still out. There's another player in there. It's not going to come to my mind. Number 1 in the league, best team in the league, if you ask me right now, San Antonio Spurs. I witnessed them come back down 25 points versus the Clips. If I just look at my notes, I would have had that answer. And gave an old-fashioned belt to ass to the Rockets on Sunday. So needless to say, this team is firing on all cylinders right now. Keep it up. Don't let this slow down. And good Lord, is it going to be? Wemby was crying after a regular season basketball game. Can you imagine the emotions going in a Western Conference Finals against the Thunder?
That man loves some
Whew.
basketball.
And yeah, and we need more players like Wimby who are emotional about the
Hmm.
game, each and every game. We just need that in the league. It was very, very nice to see. I know Twitter's made their whole spiel about it, but it really is good to see.
For sure. The Knicks, you mentioned it, they lost to Lakers, and that was without LeBron. So a pretty bad
Mm.
loss, honestly, especially for a team that doesn't play defense in the Lakers. They do not make my list again this week, by the way. Spoiler alert. But the Knicks are at my number five, third in the East, fourth in three pointers made, and fifth in opponents' points per game. So they're still doing it on both sides. They're still able to have a great offense and a defense that can cause a lot of problems. But number four, I have Detroit, first in the East, best defense in the league, in my opinion. But those four straight losses do look pretty bad right now. And then I have the Spurs at number three, second in the West, sixth in points per game, and seventh in opponents' points per game. So again, kind of like the Knicks, they're doing it on both sides, but they had a bad loss in this last week of stretch, so that's why I have them kind of low. And then the Celtics, I have at uh, two. Is that right? Yeah, two. And then second in the East, Tatum is back and near triple double in his return, and then 20 versus Cleveland. Solid performance. Not that they have defensive guards out there in Cleveland, but
Mhm.
it was an impressive performance nonetheless. And then I have OKC back atop the list, first in the West, fourth in points per game, and field goal percentage, despite all the injuries they're having. So an impressive week for them, an impressive season for them, honestly. But I'm really excited to see going back to the Celtics where they go. That's why they're so high on my list because Tatum's back and they were already 20 games over 500.
Mhm.
So boy, they could rise up these ranks and maybe end up being number one by the end of the regular season on the power rankings at least. So we'll see how
Mhm.
it goes, but it looks good so far.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a scary thought. It's a really scary thought.
For sure. We are going to go ahead and move on to our NBA Pick'em, where we pick our winners for the biggest games in the association this week. The first one I have is Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Peacock. The Celtics at the Spurs. Who you got?
Ooh, what a good matchup right here. The Celtics just got their man Jason Tatum back. I don't think the Spurs care. I don't think the Spurs care about any of that. I think they're the best team in the league right now, and I think they will beat the Celtics. Give me the Spurs on that one.
If there's one team that has the dogs to stop the Spurs guards, I think it's the Celtics. The only problem is Vooch is probably going to be out for that game. So there's a man named Victor Wembanyama who may have his way with that team after uh, that injury because Keita's good, but I don't think he is putting him up much of a fight against Victor. So give me the Spurs in this one, but I think it'll still be a very fun game to watch just because how uh, the Celtics may be able to contain those Spurs guards, which a lot of teams can't really do. And then Sunday at 1 p.m. on ABC, another lovely matinee. We have the T Wolves at the Thunder. What you got?
Ooh. The T Wolves were on a really good streak, and then they had that ugly loss to the Magic. They were on a really good streak, and they're not really the thing. Their theme with them this year is they can't really string together too many good games. We know Ant likes to play that game with a little extra fire,
Mm-hmm.
and I think with the combination of those injuries piling up, I think OKC is primed for at least one loss. Heaven forbid. And I'm going to roll with the Timberwolves on this one to get the win.
Um, See, I think by this game, I think they're going to have everybody back, or at least as much as they can, because that one seed is getting a little tighter now. So I feel like they will want to make sure that they secure that one seed. So everybody's going to be back for these last few games, I feel. And always is possible to go crazy, but Chet has been playing great, and I think he always plays against Randall pretty well. And SGA also can explode, so I'm going to go with OKC. I like the chances of him taking over a game just about as much as anybody in the league, so I think I'm going to go with OKC in this one. But again, another fun game that I can't wait to watch this week. And now it is time for our shooting star where we pick our baller of the week. Colton, who you got?
I'm throwing it back for this one. Luka Doncic probably had the best performance of the week. However, Drew Holiday, 35 points, 11 assists, 8 3-pointers
Okay.
made in the win over the Grizz. I got it. When I see Unk going off like that, I got to give Unk a shout out. I wish Drew would have gotten traded to a contending team. Hell, if he's a free agent this year, Pacers, sign him to that little vet men. Get our defense going better. Ooh, that'd be a beautiful pickup. But that don't make me the GM for a reason, I guess. But shout out Drew Holiday, still doing it. What a career trajectory for him. Looking back, as I was thinking about it when I picked him as the shooting star for this week. But yeah, gotta love me some Drew Holiday.
That is a great pick. Mine, I didn't really look too far into it because I knew quite simply it had to be Jason Tatum. 300 days away from basketball, and comes back, almost puts up a triple double, has 20 versus Cleveland. Uh, Even if you didn't have that, an insane recovery time to be able to come back this season, especially even before the playoffs, 20 games before the playoffs or whatever it was, after a torn Achilles, incredibly impressive and resilient effort from him. You could kind of tell in that first game he was nervous. He started off 0 for 6, 0 for 7, and the the butterflies were definitely there, but he overcame it and played two great games. So I'm happy for him, happy for his recovery, and hope he stays healthy for the foreseeable future. And hope this doesn't ruin Jaylen Brown's MVP season, but we'll see. But anyways, happy for Jason Tatum. That will do it though for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Thanks, Colton, for being on. You can follow the show's YouTube at CX Restricted Area. Follow the CX crew on all socials at CX Pod Network. You can follow me on Twitter at The Will Deal and Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's, by the way. Thank you all for listening and watching. And until next week, like a Tim Duncan bank shot, be smooth.